Hey, Link! Wow, it's you! Can I have your autograph? Hey, wait, can you teach me how you did the portal move with Kotl's portal gun? Oh, can you also sign my replica Megaton hammer? I had to time travel so many times to get it and tractor beam it in because it was so heavy and I had to travel back and forward and back just to get the tractor beam into the house and living room. And I couldn't lift it, blah, 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 blah. Everyone, Thinkafurr here, and truly is it exciting times for Zelda fans as Nintendo released a patent a short while ago for Breath of the Wild sequel, and, well, it shows some really cool and exciting game mechanics as well as confirming a few things we saw in the trailer, which, a lot has been uncovered, but regardless, I want to briefly go over the patent, but also smash out a solid theory with some rather big questions. Some more sciencey and strange than others. Some simply out of time and out of place. Either way, it's all food for thought, thinkers. Now with that table set and the thong juices a swirling, let's dive into the quantum realm.
Let's go!
Alright, so cutting to the chase, as we've covered ground well tread already, what even is a patent and what are the things that Nintendo has patented and what can we expect? Basically, a patent is as simple as purchasing a license that gives its owner the legal right to exclude others from making, using, or selling an invention for a limited period of years in exchange for publishing and enabling disclosure of the invention. Make sense? No? Yes? Cool. Let's get to the part where I can finally talk about what Nintendo actually patented for Breath of the Wild 2. So, the first thing claimed under Nintendo's patent is the condition to accomplish the ability to go through a suspended platform from below and then back up to its surface. The first part of this shows that there are very particular conditions that need to be met for a player to warp through the roof, and when they are met, you can travel through the platform accessing the area above. These conditions themselves being the range Link's portal to Noclip power can reach, and the amount of surface area the roof above is encompassed by within the power's radius. The most exciting thing to note is that this core feature seems to illustrate how broad this mechanic is, as it seems to be designed to take a cookie-cutter approach to any area you apply this ability to. Thinkers, what this implies is massive, because such a generalized approach for this means it will likely apply to most of the sequel's overworld. Better yet, if there are dungeons in Breath of the Wild 2, we will likely be using this all of the time. A great example is dungeons with levels stacked on top of each other, platforms that you can also go through. Imagine this. You're walking through an area of the dungeon that is, well, I guess, very maze-like, and suddenly you realize instead of walking through the maze, you could poke around for a roof or platform you can warp through to continue progressing the dungeon. The first-time experience with this ability within dungeons will likely feel almost like freedom, but the beauty in this ability is that it will add more use to the 3D environment around Link as the player experiences the game for the first time. The speedrunning community will love this. I can just imagine players like this charting out more efficient pathways that could take all kinds of different directions, as well as trying to seek out any lateral use through potential glitches or exploits to this mechanic, similarly to how we've only just recently discovered BLSS glitching, among other glitches in the first game. However, given this is the sequel, it will likely have more polish and more care, so who really knows? The next mechanic we see claimed within the patent is something we've all seen before, but I feel is easily glossed over in the trailer. Link in the Breath of the Wild sequel trailer was seen raising his hand and activating a kind of time rewind power. Images from the patent in this section clearly demonstrate a time rewind gauge with a video playback button or symbol. After carefully reading through the seas of text in the claims section, to put it all in a nutshell, it explains that the game will be recording the state of objects around the given area and will refer to a given object's save state to allow it to be reverted back to its previous state a set number of frames in the past. Basically, the barrel in the picture where it's fully drawn was traveling forwards in time. Then, Link used time reverse on the barrel here, as we can see. The hollowed out barrels with a line symbolizing the past pathways through space-time essentially show where the object is going to travel as it reverts its time-space state. Now, what I love most about this is that Link is essentially taking on the power to manipulate his body's interaction with space by opening portals from one portion of space to another. On top of this, he's also dabbling with manipulation of time, or more specifically, manipulating an object's path through space-time. Now, to address a bit of a plot hole here, but remember this? Zelda falling to the dark depths and likely a dark grim fate down below. Well, why can't Link just travel back and save Zelda? Because Nintendo needs a plot? No. Because science— no, can't say that, that's Dollar Store Thor's line. Forget it. If Link is using time reverse powers instead of time travel, then Link reversing his own time-space state would basically just cause him to revert back to where he was in his own past coordinates in space-time, inevitably continuing down the same path without even knowing or realizing this. Pretty much, Link would be just like the boulder we see and observe being reversed. The boulder is traveling back and forth in its set coordinates in space-time. Its state does not change. It must go to the places it travels from past, present, and future. What it happens to interact with regardless will not change where it must go. This is due to what is called the Novikov self-consistency principle, or the Novikov self-consistency conjecture. In short, it basically is the principle that all things traveled in space-time through past, present, and future must agree, and an object that is traveling from a previous point must reach the same point again regardless. To put it in a more digestible way, you can't reverse your own time-space state and expect to still have your free will and current knowledge or any of the things you started with, because your body and everything equipped to it and associated with it, including your brain and all its neurons, are going to have their time reversed. Thus, you are effectively being rewinded like an old VHS tape or DVD movie. You might start back at the beginning, but you will inevitably reach the ending of the film, which in this case is your destination across your life's history. Complicated, right? Well, just rewind if you didn't quite get that. Thankfully, rewinding the video won't affect your temporal state, and you won't arrive at the same destination, still not understanding if you did rewind the video. Anyway, solution-based thinking here. How can we realistically predict Link will use this to save Zelda? Well, perhaps Link will find a way to combine the two powers to warp his own current self through space and emerge at a past point of time in the world to get to the point where Zelda was falling and save her. Could this work? Well, yeah, actually it's possible, if not probable, even from a pseudo-theoretical physics standpoint. Remember, the first patent is Link's ability to create a portal from one area of space to arrive at another portal's mouth much farther away in space. Link here is folding space, creating what is conventionally known as a wormhole. Presently, wormholes have three different posits: Schwarzschild wormholes, Einstein-Rosen bridge wormholes, and traversable wormholes. We won't cover the differences here today, as they would take way too much time, but traversable wormholes are likely the kind Link is dabbling with, as you can literally travel through these in, well, one way or another, safely. If we take his time reverse powers over matter and energy and combine it with his powers to fold space, well, we might might have a fighting chance to save Zelda here. To explain such an exciting scenario is to explain a situation deeply rooted in topics that are sciencey and rather complex, but to grossly oversimplify and also fill the gaps with Zonai voodoo magic. Well, imagine this. Link waves his hand in the air, flashing green, and creates a specifically patented by Nintendo wormhole. In front of Link is the entrance of the wormhole, which leads to an exit on the other side of the same world, existing in his current world's point in space-time on its world line. The entrance and exit of the wormhole are both known as the mouths of the wormhole, with its throat being the thin part in the middle that connects them. This before you is Link bending and folding the geometry of space. Now imagine after Link creates this wormhole that he waves his hand again, flashing green once more to use his time reversal powers over matter and energy, applying this power directly onto the two mouths of the wormhole. He is now inverting the temporal state of the wormhole's mouths such that the light cone of the wormhole flips into moving backwards. In doing so, Link can in short enter this reverse time wormhole and take his current physical self into an area of space that exists in a past point of time, thus now successfully being able to make some kind of a change because he is traveling through a wormhole that has its light cone inverted. Now, ultimately, how a wormhole fundamentally comes into being, in extremely gross simplification once more, is as follows. A wormhole is more or less space that has had its geometry warped until you have 2 points that are very far away, now seemingly close to one another, such that it would take much less time to travel across that distorted space. Now, in this space and time we live in and wormholes distort, objects or things like a wormhole have what we call a light cone. This light cone, is pretty much the encapsulated boundaries or limits of where things can and cannot go in space-time. That limit being the speed of light. Now, bit of a side note, but something black holes do with their immense gravity is bend or tip the light cones of objects, and black holes are incomprehensibly powerful, so yes, Link here, whatever he's got powering his magic to even make a traversable wormhole in itself, is gonna be cooking with a little bit more than just gas. But anyway, gasbagging about the gaps between dimensions aside, let's plug this information back in a Breath of the Wild 2 and our little theory of how Link could save Zelda's, downfall of sorts with a Link to the Past. Suppose if Link did wave his hand to invert the light cone to either end of a traversable wormhole to make a backwards time wormhole of sorts. He then could enter from one side of the wormhole that is now a path between his current universe or reality and its world line of historical events in the future where Zelda is no more and Ganon is awakened, and leave that reality traveling through the first mouth of the wormhole, traveling across the warped space with its inverted time to arrive over on the other end at the second mouth to emerge in a completely different reality with the events of the past now the current reality experienced by Link, all whilst preserving Link's current temporal state because he used an inverted space-time wormhole to travel back in time, or rather travel to a whole new reality altogether instead of inverting his time to rewind himself back again only to fall through the same choices again and again and again. This is certainly going to cause a timeline split. However, at least in this way, Link has his current self and his free will to make new choices and save Zelda from the fall, but that's a whole timeline splitty thingy and certainly a video for another time. Check it out when that goes up. In the meantime, have a link to my Breaking the Zelda timeline stream. Now, before I go any further, I just want to give 2 shoutouts. First, a shout out to Kyle Hill because he originally talked about this topic over a year ago when he was working with the channel known as Because Science. He's a super thonky, big-brained dude with some seriously sciencey videos, so go check him out if you're interested in that kind of stuff. Second shout out I want to give is to an artist I found on Reddit called Zaylee. They made this amazing Zelda print and I just had to buy it as a gift for Elfie's birthday. This art piece really captures the radiant power of the goddess Hylia and her mortal incarnation Zelda. If you want to buy yourselves a copy of this artist's work, you can purchase it from a link in the top right corner. A massive thank you, Zaylee. This piece really made Elfie's birthday a special surprise worthy of a goddess. Now, those shoutouts aside, whether what I said earlier happens or not, well, who knows? Only time will tell. Anyway, I really like this portrayal of Link's time reversal powers and portal ability in which Nintendo has come up with, even after overanalyzing how both powers appear and function and comparing them with principles found in science, with a little gap filling with some Zonai magic, of course. So, as a bonus, have this little tidbit of space-time physics to take away and try for yourself. Before you is a diagram. This diagram I have used is a Minkowski diagram illustrating in 2D how objects in our universe move within the different planes of space in our own universe. Here, we have an axis for space, marked as an X for space, and T as an axis for time. There is a Z-axis, but that's a different kettle of Hylian bass. I couldn't quite decide where to put this in the script. I could have put it before or after breaking down the patent regarding Link's powers, or I could have removed it altogether. Either way, it's just a little tidbit of fun and science crossing over into video games in one of my favorite franchises. Alas, thinkers, I'm fresh out of time, but I want to just put this out there. We've got a massive video dropping very soon. It's a community-powered project worked through with our Patreon and Discord community covering more on Breath of the Wild 2, and oh, is it a mountain of a mystery to work through. That all aside, thanks so much for watching. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. If you liked the video, hit the like button and subscribe for more content. We have more along the way. If you want to support the channel's production of content, get behind-the-scenes access, and name in the credits, consider joining as a member on Patreon or YouTube. Also, whilst we're on the subject of support, be sure to duck past Elfie's art page on Instagram at elfspringart. My partner makes nearly all of my channel's art, and the channel wouldn't be where it is today without their amazing work, and they make so much more art as well outside of that. If you want to check out their work and be part of their art journey, then please click the link in the top right and drop them a follow on Instagram at elfspringart. Love ya, Elfie! Thanks so much for watching, thinkers. It's been fun. Be sure to keep your eyes out for the next video, and as always, have a big-brained, thonky day, and be sure to think safe out there. Bye-bye!